In today's video, we're going to have a look at my November analytics to see how I've been tracking for the last 30 days, and we're going to compare it to the previous months and just kind of show you guys what I'm looking into to see how I can improve, how to keep growing my channel, and to make sure that I keep improving to keep growing on the YouTube platform. All of this can be done simply by looking at your YouTube analytics to see what you're doing good, where you're going wrong, and how you can improve to get more views and more subscribers. So we're going to jump on my iMac. I'm going to have a look at my November analytics. Let's get into the video. Alright guys, so we're on my November analytics and we're looking at just the month of November to see how my video did. Straight away we can see here that it says for November, looking good. Your channel got 13,716 views, which is around what it usually gets. Now it's quite interesting because it must take into consideration like the whole year's views amount, because this is actually a lot higher than my previous month. So if we go down to views here and we compare it to the previous month, we can see here that as of October I only received 2,689 views. As of September I received 2,042 views, and then all the way back in August I received 8,316. We have to actually go back all the way to July, where I was receiving a lot more views at that point. May, June, and July, we had some really high viewpoints. But for the last 4 months, this is actually the highest that it's ever been. Yet it actually says that it's just average. So that's quite interesting to see that it doesn't actually think that I'm doing better. But as I said, I believe that's because it takes into consideration all these other views that I have received. But overall, this is amazing, especially if we compare it just to the previous month. We've gone ahead and gone about 11,000 more views just in 30 days, which I am super happy about. If you're wondering why it's gone up so much and what I've really done differently, the main reason, guys, is I started doing YouTube Shorts this month. I've been really working on YouTube Shorts because YouTube Shorts, if you didn't know already, is a great way for small channels to get more views, getting their videos out there, potentially getting more subscribers, and getting people to check out your other videos. And I have created a video all about YouTube Shorts, so make sure you go ahead and watch that video if you haven't already. And this is really going to help you grow in the future. So YouTube Shorts, make sure that you jump on the train while you still can before it becomes popular and it's no longer easier to get views from. So that being said, guys, that is the main reason I've gotten so many more views. Apart from that, I mean, in terms of the amount of videos, I did 10 videos. So in terms of the amount of videos, same exact amount of videos from both months. Yet, as I said, the views have gone up drastically. We have a look down here to see what were the highest views for this period. We had our Charlie D'Amelio, which had 2,700 views, which is pretty decent. Next best was our Carter Shearer video. Next best was the Carter Shearer video, which got 1591. And then the third best video was Brent Rivera, which received 1,031 views. Then we jumped down to Logan Paul's video, which only received 761. And yet when I say only, my average videos these days are only about 100 to 200 views, so that's still really good. Daz Games received 724. Norris Nuts received 618. And my Teespring one is still pulling in views, even though it was uploaded back on June the 9th. It still received 489 views, which is still quite a lot which is still quite high based on the averages of my videos. We also had a one at 376 here, 363, and 344. So that kind of gives you an idea of the views that I had in the. This gives you an idea of the top views for the month of November. We can see here that pretty much 9 out of 10, pretty much 9 out of 10 of these were all YouTube Shorts. So that really shows you those are the videos that are performing, that I'm getting the best performances from, just purely because they're YouTube Shorts and it's easier to rank, if you will, in the YouTube shelf to get more views. Now I also want to have a look at the watch time here. So if we click on watch time, we can kind of see the watch time compared to previous months. So we can see here for November, we received 184.4 hours of watch time. As opposed to October, we only received 90.5 hours of watch time. So that has doubled. Great to see. As opposed to September to October, it increased a little bit It did increase a little bit, but it's really interesting to see because watch time, if you don't know already, is really important. You want to make sure that you're getting as much watch time as possible, and that is going to come down to each individual video because that video is competing against all the other videos for that same topic, and they're going to rank it higher if it's got a good watch time, good average view duration, and a good click-through rate. All of those things are going to affect how that video performs, and whether they're going to show it to more people or less people is going to come down to how did that video perform compared to the other videos that are ranking for that same topic. Now, the other thing I wanted to have a look at here is the estimated revenue. So we can see here for the month of October, I received $23.68, and for November, we've jumped up to $38.63. That's a nice big jump there. That's about $15 or so extra, which I'm pretty happy with, as opposed to September. I mean, even September, it went up by about $8. That's great to see, especially when a lot of my views are coming from YouTube Shorts, which, if you didn't know already, isn't monetized. So a lot of these views we're looking at aren't even receiving revenue from them because they're YouTube Shorts and they're not monetized on YouTube. I do believe eventually they probably will be, but at this stage, it's great to see that my revenue still went up by a decent amount, even though a lot of those views came from YouTube Shorts. Now, the next best thing we want to look at is reach here, and it's going to tell us where our views came from. Now, straight away off the bat, we can see here my highest traffic source was from YouTube Shorts, and that was 48.9%. So almost 50% of my views came from YouTube Shorts. 23.7% came from YouTube search, which is still great to see. I like seeing YouTube search nice and high because that's where I want to get the majority of my views from, is from YouTube search. The next was from notifications, so that's people who have got their notifications on who are subscribers, which was 8.3%. Browse features was 7.1%, and then we've got direct or unknown was 4.1%. But we can see straight away here that out of those 13,000 views, 48.9% was from YouTube Shorts. Now we can see at the top here, we had 102,300 impressions. I would never in my greatest dreams ever have impressions that high without YouTube Shorts. The impressions click-through rate was a 3%, which is pretty good for a high impressions rate. If that impressions was a much lower rate, you'd like to see a higher impressions click-through rate, but it says it has gone up by about 6%, but our impressions here has gone up by 111%. As we said, 13.7 thousand views, and that's gone up by 410%, and unique viewers has gone up by 497%. Looking at over the months here, we can see here for impressions, we had about 2,800 on that day. We had a high point on November the 7th of 5,486. And we've had a spike here on Friday, November the 27th of 7,546. We had 7,415 on the 28th. Then it started to spike down to 5,338 and 5,4581. If we jump onto views here, we can see some huge spikes here. The highest was on November the 14th, and we had 1,678 views. And also the second highest was on Friday, November the 27th, and there was 1,440 views. Now, if we scroll down here, we can see here that impressions, 102,335 impressions, and 29.3% was from YouTube recommending your content. If you don't know what that means, you just hover over the info here, and that tells you that it was recommended on the home page, and it was recommended on the watch page. Now, 30% isn't a huge amount, and the reason for that is because 70% of it was mostly from YouTube Shorts, so it would have been recommended on the YouTube shelf. Also could be recommended on other videos and things like that as well. Now, as we can see here, once again, a click-through rate of 3%. Views from impressions was 3,100. Average view duration is quite low due to YouTube Shorts of 1 minute and 26. But when you look at my previous, if you look at my previous analytic reports, it's not a huge difference there, which is something that I'm still trying to work on. Getting that average view duration up is something that I'm always trying to focus on. Finding why people were leaving and things like that has gotten a lot easier. Definitely check out my video on engagement. I will link it in the cards. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen that already. There's a great new feature that has just become available on the YouTube Studio. And watch time was from impressions was 73.66 hours. Scroll down to external here, we can see that 59.4% was from Google search, always good to see. In terms of playlist, we had short videos was 12.1%. So I've got a playlist for my short videos on my homepage. Only will be seen on the YouTube mobile app, but it's great to see that that playlist has still gotten 12.1% of views. In terms of YouTube search, we've actually still been getting some views from that as well. 43.3% actually came from Carter Shearer, 6.6% was from Lizzie Capri, 4.8% was from The Norris Nuts, 2.8% was from Norris Nuts, and 2.7% was from How Does Teespring Work. So that's really awesome to see that not just from YouTube Shorts, but we were actually ranking in YouTube search. In terms of suggested videos, we got some suggested videos from How Much YouTubers Paid Carter Shearer. I believe that's my own video. $5 YouTube ads, once again my own video here. The one YouTuber mistake can keep you small, also my video. So all of these videos have been suggested from my own videos, which is ideal because you want one viewer to go from one of your videos to the other video. So that's really, really good to see. I do want to have a quick look at my engagement here. This is going to show me my key moments for audience retention. Now, I briefly have done a video all about this. I won't go too much into detail here, but if you have a look here, you can actually hover over here, telling you about 55% of viewers were still watching at the 30-second mark. So that's definitely really good to see, but you can see it does tend to drop off over time. But it gives you a rough idea here of the still watching at 30 seconds. So we had 55%, 47, 47, 44, and 42. So 55% was on the higher end here. We've also got our top videos for watch time, and once again, Does Teespring Work is the highest one, and that's purely just because of the fact that that video has been doing the best for me over the past few months, and it's really going to be interesting to see if it keeps getting views in months to come. So far it's been almost 6 months and it's still getting views for my channel, so that is awesome to see, and it'll be really cool to start seeing other videos start kind of performing or even outperforming this Teespring video. The next best was from Charlie D'Amelio, which was 18.83 watch hours. The $5 YouTube ads are still performing quite good. Carter Shearer was up there, and then my live stream was pretty decent as well. In terms of end screens, we've got a few clicks from Does Teespring Work, one from Advice for New YouTubers, and one from $5 YouTube ads. Another top end screen element types was most recent upload, 7.1% clicked on that. And top playlist for November was Grow Faster on YouTube, which was 34.4% from the playlist views. We also had Money Making Tips was 19.8%. YouTube Editing Tips was 16.4%. Go Viral was 12.9%, and How to YouTube was 11.4%. Top cards performing was the YouTube advertising tutorial, so we got 4 clicks on that one. Go Viral, we had 1. How to get monetized on YouTube, we had 1. And YouTube Analytics Series, we got 1 click. So we're getting a few clicks here, nothing too crazy here, but really good to see. The playlist, obviously that's not through the card clicks, that's through people going into your playlist and watching the playlist. That's where those percentages come from. So that's really, really good to see. Now the average view duration has gone down, and this is purely because of YouTube stories. Now a lot of people are probably going to be thinking, if your average view duration is going down, that's going to be a bad sign for the YouTube analytics. This is absolutely not true, and the reason for this is YouTube looks at every single video as a standalone video, and that's why any of your videos at any point in time can potentially outperform any one of your other videos and can start ranking really, really high on YouTube, because each video is performing on its own. If one video does bad, that's not going to affect all your other videos, and vice versa. If one video does well, that doesn't necessarily mean that all your other videos are going to do well. So that's why your average view duration matters per video, but your overall average view duration isn't something that I would worry about. This is going to go down because of YouTube Shorts, but overall I'm still pretty happy with that. As for audience, we can see here, this just gives you a quick rundown of your unique viewers, your when viewers are on YouTube. We've already kind of gone over that, and I haven't really seen too much, and I haven't really seen anything that helpful in terms of that. In terms of TubeBuddy, it actually gives me a good idea for an upload time. It says here weekly Sunday 4 AM based on New Zealand daytime. So according to them, Sunday at 4 AM would be the best time for weekly. Daily, it seems to be 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. And this is purely just because of all my people overseas are watching these. In terms of my watch time from subscribers, non-subscribed was 74.9%. Great to see. It means we are reaching out into newer audiences, and means that we can potentially get more subscribers, because if only your subscribers are watching your videos, how are you supposed to grow and get new subscribers? So you want to see that always being higher than your subscribed. So that is great to see. Still seeing that 42% is from the United States. I'd like to lift that to 50%. We've got the United States, and then the second highest is actually the UK, which is really good to see. So I'm very happy about that. In terms of age and gender, very, very similar here. 54.4% is from male, and 45.6% is from females. Largest being 18 to 24, second highest being 25 to 34. Pretty happy with that. And the last thing I wanted to look at is the revenue, to see how my RPM and CPM has been doing over the past. To see how my RPM and CPM has been doing for the month of November. Now we do know that my estimated revenue has gone up. So that's great to see. It's gone up by 63%. Very, very happy with that. The main thing I want to look at here is the CPM. So if we go over the CPM here, we had the highest point here on Saturday, November the 21st. We had a CPM of $39.58. That is a really, really high CPM. So it's great to see that we have still had some pretty decent CPMs for the month of November. I have seen some high ones back in October. We got up to about $80, but $39.58 is still not bad. If we actually scroll to some lower points here, we had $11.27, which isn't too bad. It's not great either, but it's not terrible. We also had an $8.89, which is quite low, $7.72, so that some are getting quite to the low points. But overall, our average CPM is $14.96. I'm aiming for around about an average of about $15, so it's a little bit lower than that, especially if we have had some quite low points here. But overall, we've had some pretty good high ones as well. So that's averaged it out to about where I want. Ideally, I want anywhere between $15 to $20 CPM, because remember guys, you only get 55% of that cut. In terms of the RPM, we've got a really, really low RPM here, and that's because the RPM takes in a lot of things into consideration. So we can really see here on some low days, we actually had a 56 cents RPM. On some high days, we had $12.33, $11.72, $11.53. So we're averaging out at about $5.57 here, having some lower ones at $4.70. So we're having some really low ones at about 64 cents and things like that. So we can see here that around about the end of the month, it was averaging out pretty low, and that's purely because we were getting a lot of views from YouTube Shorts, so I would expect that. But at the start of the month, we actually had some pretty high RPM, and that was purely based on the fact that there wasn't too many YouTube Shorts coming in at that point in time. As the YouTube Shorts start to roll in, I think that does affect the RPM, but I prefer to look at the CPM because that gives me a better idea of the amount that advertisers are willing to pay for my videos. And like I said, I'm aiming for around about $15 to $20. So it's great to see that that is still maintaining, if not increasing, from the previous months. So that is a-okay in my books, and everything is tracking along quite nicely. So looking overall, I'm pretty happy. My views are increasing. We're still getting lots of views from people that aren't subscribed to the channel, which is great to see. Things like audience retention and average view duration and watch time, they definitely have increased. That's good to see. We want to increase that even more in the future months to get more views, rank better on YouTube search, and really grow our channel even faster. So that is my goal for the month of December. Right guys, that was a video of my November analytics. I really like looking at these to see how my YouTube channel is tracking and to show you guys what you should be looking for in your own YouTube analytics to grow on YouTube. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and check out my other YouTube analytical videos to kind of compare it with this one, just so you can kind of see where I'm coming from with previous months. It's really going to show you how this channel is tracking, and it's really, really cool to see, and I'm sure for you guys to see how this channel is doing, to kind of give you motivation and inspiration to start creating videos for yourself and to be on the same journey that I am. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, I know you'll love these other videos. Go ahead and check those out. See you later.